What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Raptor Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because former Toronto Raptor Thad Young came out and said some controversial things about Toronto. I will play that video for you and break it down and just give you my thoughts overall. It might not be a video you might want to watch in front of your kids or save for work. Just a heads up. Might be some swear words. I usually don't do this, but quite upsetting and honestly frustrating as a basketball fan in Canada because you hear this quite too often. But if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. As you guys know, I do give out shout outs on this channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to S1L3 and 7D4RK. I won't be repeating that. That's quite a username you have there, but thank you so much for supporting this channel. To your likes and comments, it is very much appreciated. And I want to give a quick shout out to Hassan O on Twitter. Make sure to follow him. He's the one that posted this video, this clip. So let me play this clip for you guys and let me know your thoughts after watching this clip, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as well.
For sure.
For TA, how was your time in Toronto like?
My time in Toronto?
I'm from Toronto, and he says he would never play in Toronto. That's one
Oh,
thing.
Toronto. Oh, yeah, for sure. Toronto.
Right. I ain't gonna lie. Being in Toronto is kind of tough. Yeah, it's
I
tough.
told your
It's tough. It's tough to.
Family can't come there. None
It's
of
cool to visit, be there for like 4 or 5 days. That's cool, but to live there, yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
It was tough. It was tough on my family. Like you can see my son behind you.
If you like
shaking his head. Kid was ready to come home, man.
He like, you gotta go through customs all the time, man.
Yeah.
Come
It's
on.
almost like you at a disadvantage. Like we have to go through the airport every single time. Like you gotta go through the airport is the customs part of it. Like you mean to tell me I just paid for the package and I gotta pay you more money to get my package from you?
Come on, man.
Like, come on, man. Customs? Then getting stuck at the border?
Shit.
Come on, man. I got stuck at the border for 3-4 hours.
Man, every time I come with the team, I come to Toronto with the team, they pulling me and TA to the back every time. They ain't want to let us through that motherfucker. They had 100 questions for us.
I hate it. Man, you, hold on, man.
1 year they told me don't even come, bro. Like,
Look, man, you, it's cold as hell while they read your name. You and that motherfucker shaking like you like, God damn, man, I ain't found my shit yet. Man, I promise you, God, I listen, Toronto, I like kicking at your nightclub. I couldn't see myself playing that, man. Listen, at gunpoint.
Yeah,
listen,
I was there for 2 years. That was tough. I ain't gonna lie. And I had resigned back there. Yeah, that was tough. My kids was hurt. Oh, my wife was like, look, she said that you come back here. She said you might come back by yourself. We gonna stay at the crib.
yeah.
Now, first of all, it was so funny to see Tony Allen and Zach Randolph. First of all, I'm just happy you bitches did not win a ring in Memphis because talking about you can't bring your family to Toronto. Zach, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Seriously, look at this chart here. Memphis is 4th on this list amongst NBA teams in homicide rate amongst NBA cities. And look where Toronto is. But sure, being in Toronto is kind of tough, right? Because you have to cross the borders. And it is kind of funny that they talk all this nonsense about, how tough it is being in Toronto. If Thad Young brought up, how harsh it was to live in Toronto because it's super expensive, even though he's a millionaire. If you talked about how congested it is, how bad the traffic is, maybe you could understand it a little bit more. But, he's talking about how tough it is being in Toronto. The wife says she can't be there. Toronto's a beautiful city, man. What are you talking about? Would you rather live in Milwaukee? No disrespect to some of these cities on here. Would you rather live in Cleveland? You're talking about some of the cities you played for, Chicago, Philadelphia. Look where they are talking about you can't bring your families to the city. Toronto's a beautiful city, and I don't care what NBA players have to say about it. I don't know why NBA players have this mentality about them just being on a high horse. You don't see European players dissing playing in Toronto. I've never heard a European player say, oh, it's tough to play in Toronto. It's always American players, and I don't want to stereotype American players. There's been various points in my life where I've lived in U.S. I just recently got to see my first Toronto Raptors game in Portland. Beautiful city, beautiful people. I'm not going to generalize and stereotype Americans the way they do with Canada, with Toronto. If you got sent to Yellowknife, sure, you could say, it's tough being there. Toronto is a very westernized city. It's a huge city. Good food options. It's got amazing things there, yet you find it hard to do there because, you got to go through customs. And the funny thing is, I've had my elderly relatives tell me this pre 9/11. They said you could just cross the border, from Canada to the U.S. If you're going across the border, show your driver's license, that's it. So it's kind of ironic that they're dissing Canada, they're dissing Toronto as a city, talking about all this custom stuff that we've heard a lot of NBA players talk about. Because if it wasn't for that terrorist attack in U.S., where these security measures weren't in place, you wouldn't have had these issues to come across the border, man. It used to be a lot easier. They've put these things in place. Sure, it might be a hassle for you because it might take you an extra hour or two, but why do they put these things in place? Prevent terrorist attacks, particularly what happened in 9/11. Rest in peace to all those, souls involved, and also that war in the Middle East that shouldn't have happened. All the Muslims were getting blamed. Everyone was getting blamed. All the racism that just came out of the whole 9/11 um, shouldn't have happened, man. But all of these things that we have in place are a result of previous things that have happened, whether that's crime, whether that's murders, whatever that's happened. So sure, you can cry about sitting on a podcast about how it's going to take you an extra hour to go through customs, but they have these rules in place to protect people. Yet you're crying about it. And I just find it funny, man. There's a psychological test. I'm not dissing Americans. There's a psychological test that was done many years ago, and a picture of a fish was shown to two different groups of people. One was Americans. So this is what Americans saw and mentioned when they asked, "What did you see in this picture?" It was a fish in the ocean. A lot of Americans told the people that were doing this test, "What do you see in the ocean?" They said, "We see a fish." Now, they did this test with another group of people, and they asked Japanese people, "What do you see? What do you see here?" when they showed the fish in the ocean. And this is what Japanese people told the people testing them. This is what they see in the ocean. They weren't just focused on the fish, they saw the entire environment around them. So, for those that clearly do not understand what the psychological test was about, and particularly talking about how societies function, Americans were more focused on one thing. They were focused on the fish, which just kind of explains, again, not dissing my American viewers here, that they're more self-centered. They're focused on one thing, which is unfortunately just the way that media has become. Social media is just, we're so self-centered in Western society, and not just America too, even in Canada, we've become so self-centered. Whereas when you look at another community, another culture, they're focused on the big picture. They weren't just focused on themselves. They were focused on the environment. They're focused on the other little factors as well in that picture. And it just kind of goes to show, when we talk about a lot of these American players dissing Canada, we've had a lot of people diss Canada as a whole. I will say this. It's not like you're being sent to a war zone. I tweeted this out. You're not being sent to, I don't know, you're not being sent to Israel, Palestine, man. It might be controversial. It's not like you're dealing with a war situation there. You're going to a country that speaks the same language, particularly, I mean, you're right beside that country. It's not like we're sending you to, I don't know, South Africa, or Australia, where it's like, 15-hour flight to fly to another country. So it's kind of disheartening to really hear this kind of stuff from Thad Young, particularly given, his situation. He was loved by the front office. Lou Will, obviously, dissed Toronto as a whole. He had some grudges, you could say. He could see that Lou Will was upset with Toronto because, he didn't get an offer from our front office. They let him go. They treated him. They didn't want to bring him back. He had an excuse to hate Toronto organization and the Raptors in particular. That Young, what have the front office mentioned before even trading for him? They've said it so many times. They love that Young, and when they finally got a chance to trade for him, they said, "We love him here. You were loved by the fans, and you ultimately did get traded." I mean, you even re-signed. The Toronto Raptors re-signed and probably overpaid for your 2-year, $60 million contract, but you're going to come out in here and see all these distasteful things about Toronto. It's kind of disheartening, man. It's not nice to hear. I mean, especially for someone like that Young, that's a veteran. If this was a 20-year-old that played one season in Toronto, you could say, the guy's young. He's not experienced in life. You're an old retired player, man. You're an old retired player who knows how to say things properly in front of the media, and you go on a podcast and say all these things about Toronto. It's kind of silly to think, man. There's a lot of cities around the U.S. when we talk about this whole, oh, Toronto's freezing cold. What do you think Milwaukee is? What do you think Boston is? What do you think New York is? What do you think all these American cities around America are? It's not sunshine everywhere, man. But these players just have this weird thing where they want to diss Canada. And look, this video I've made is not to diss Americans, and I hope it doesn't come across as that. A lot of Americans, there are a lot of very nice people out there. I love America. I love visiting there. Regardless of, whatever that Young might say, whatever was going on with our political wars here. But it's a beautiful country. It's just sad the way that a lot of these American players come and diss Toronto, man. It's so stupid to hear players come out and say this time and time again. If you were being sent to, I don't know, freezing cold city way up north in Antarctica, maybe you can diss Canada and say the weather's freezing cold. But considering how many American cities are similar in weather, similar and less things to do around the city, and, it doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And the trivia question for today is, where do the Raptors rank in the NBA, in defensive ratings? Is it A, 23rd, Is it B, 20th? Is it C, 18th? Or is it D, 30th? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first, make sure you get the right question because you get a shout out in my next video. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little bit off. It's just, it rubs people the wrong way, especially for Thad Young, man. You had such a decent time here. You know, we made the playoffs one season. Fans loved you at first. And look, your contract was overpaid. I still supported you. I still said, you know, he's a good vet to have around. But to say stuff like this, it just kind of rubs people the wrong way. Again, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. That will be it for today's video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button as well, guys. Thank you so much for watching.